News now, and we touched on this briefly last week, but it has been a very strange summer here in the UK. It's our second episode back. We briefly mentioned it last week. A summer of kind of rather monochrome governmental behaviour rather than the kaleidoscopic fluorescent chunderstorm we become used to. We had the far right hijacking a brutal tragedy to try to advance their delusionally sclerotic agenda, but the people of Britain rejecting and countering that. And then we have the court system, which I think is still processing a drunken, disorderly case involving a cricket fan who got a bit overexcited in 1938 when Len Hutton beat Don Bradman's Test record score at the Oval. Suddenly, speed cranking into action and dispensing well-merited insta-justice to some of the especially repugnant rioters and fury stokers. So where are we now as a nation? I don't know yet. We'll keep you posted over the next, 10 to 20 years here on the Bugle as we see how things evolve. Suffice it to say for now that the far right has proved once again that the social virus of pseudo-patriotic, historically inane shitheadery has not been entirely eradicated, despite all the Darwinian evidence suggesting that it really, really should have been. Well then, Chuck D, time for a rethink, you old dead bearded loon.
It's a tricky thing as somebody who keeps coming back to the UK and trying to decide whether to live here or not, because you got on one hand you've got like, oh no, there's race riots, and on the other hand you've got like, oh good, they're being arrested. That's
yes.
I feel like on one hand it looks like the social fabric of society is breaking down, and on the other hand it looks like the social fabric of society is working.
I'll be honest, I don't know why you came back. All you had to do was write something on Facebook. They would have arrested you for that. You didn't have to be here.
Yes, a strange summer. Let's look now at some education news. Ofsted, the organisation that rates schools, is going to change the way that it marks schools from a one-word summary to something that actually tells you what is happening in your kid's school. Now, I think this is progress. I mean, one-word summaries are the kind of thing that might be appropriate in a social media clip with a boy band who have a new single coming out, or at the end of a show trial, for example. Guilty is usually sufficient, or in a football commentary. Goal, just keep quiet in between, or in describing American Republican presidential candidates. But fundamentally, reducing any complex issue to a one-word summary is ridiculous. Point proved. Even my performance in the Comedy Zone at the Edinburgh Festival in 2000, which I will admit was not the most nuanced and complex of creations in the human artistic canon, required two words in the Observer to sum it up: grindingly and mediocre. So it feels that Ofsted ought to be going into more depth, Ria, than single words. Only you've got kids in the school system.
I think this is great news because, yes, I have kids in the system, and I've been struggling with this system for years. If you don't have kids, we have 4 levels at which we can rate a school: outstanding, which is what everybody wants; good, requires improvement, which is, of course, is famously hyphenated; and inadequate. And if you're found inadequate these days, then your school is automatically academized, which, Alice, basically means that if you run, say, a carpet company, you can then run the school, because that makes perfect sense. We drew that in a straight line a few years ago.
I thought academized was when they wrote a fictional series about you running some sort of wizarding school.
It could be, or it could just be, a normal state school from which 2 boys then take over Saturday night television for the rest of our lives.
Well, it's interesting to me because I feel like on one hand, having a one-word summary of the performance of a school is congruent with the way that parents get the reports of how the school day went from their children, when what they want is a detailed report, and they'll get, fine. Needs improvement.
Oh, that kid's in top set if you get that kid. But I've been using this system for years, not just to describe schools. I've been using it in other areas, which is why I'm glad that we're making it a little bit more comprehensive, because I've been using it to describe my ex-husband for a long time. And obviously when we first got together, he was outstanding. And then it kind of went from good to inadequate. And but it isn't enough. Like that doesn't hold out, an evening with girlfriends over cocktails. I need more than that. So I'm glad that we're going to give schools a school report now.
Yeah, all feedback should be specific and actionable.
Specific and actionable.
Yes, I feel like all feedback should be specific and actionable.
What are you trying to do? Improve education? Don't come over here with your foreign ideas.
It does seem to make sense. Summing up a school in one word is bound to be insufficient, like summing up a novel in a single grunt, or describing a journey as a mark out of 3, in which, if it's 1, you died on the journey. But anyway, but a report card system to replace the one-word summary, that to me makes obvious. So say if you've got a school, because obviously you know not every aspect of a school works to the same quality. If you've got a school that's, for example, just won an Oscar for Best Musical Score from the video for its Year 7 nativity play, and has provided interpreters for a United Nations summit from its GCSE modern language classes, but has a chemistry teacher known as Boom Boom Betty, who's thrown up 3 consecutive science labs due to mixing up grams and tons and copper sulfate and nitroglycerin, and that has a ritual novel-burning assembly every Wednesday. One word doesn't really cut the mustard, does it? You need a bit of nuance.
Yeah, and I would have said that school is good at the arts, shit at science.
Well, every year at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, there is a controversy among artists about the giving of star ratings for comedy shows in reviews. That the 5-star rate, out of 5-star rating system is inadequate to fully encompass the experience of a comedy show. It is very reductive. And what if the reviewer is just an idiot and who just doesn't get the comedian? And then everyone reads this controversy and checks the comedians who are complaining to find out who gave them 1 star.
If only the stars were accompanied by, say, a few paragraphs of explanation about the show and what the reviewer felt when they were there. I mean, is that crazy? Am I being crazy?
That's very retro, I think. I didn't realise that's what the stars were for. I thought it was just describing what kind of person the comedian was in the rudest possible terms. So, there were quite a lot of pricks and cunts back in the day.
How many stars do Jewish comedians get? But yes, they're now going to expand them into like more school reports. So I'm looking forward to reading the school reports of schools. But I feel like we should be giving the school reports, and we should be giving the schools back. They give these inane. If you have kids, they have a system where everything is automated. And so all of your kids get the same phrases, like shows potential but needs to reach it. And I feel like that's the same thing. If my kids come out with C's, I'll be like, well, that school showed potential, but they never reached it. We just need to, I think we need to flip it back on them.
Yes, if this school applied its brilliant intellect, it might have better outcomes, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Or the teachers, head teacher, needs to develop better social skills.
Plays badly with others.
The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, said the new grades will not confuse parents. And it's nice for once to hear a politician expressing faith that the British public can understand something more than 1 word long, which is progress, I think. What does Brexit mean? Brexit, thanks for clearing that up, you idiots. Right.
To be fair, that's a criticism that can be levelled at both sides of politics. Love is love and Brexit means Brexit. There's a horseshoe effect in full.
Horse shit effect, I think it is.